You're listening to Lights Camera Latino, the podcast, hosted by Angel Fabian Rivera. Remember to follow us on our social media platforms as Lights Camera Latino and Angel Fabian Rivera. Hola mi gente, welcome to Lights Camera Latino, the podcast. This is the place where we dive deep into the captivating world of entertainment with influential Latinos shaping the industry. As always, my name is Angel Fabian Rivera, and I'm so excited to be back here for another episode. Today, we got an amazing person that I'm ready to introduce. But before that, be sure to follow us in Lights Camera Latino on Instagram, on YouTube, and all platforms for podcasts like Spotify, Amazon Music. We're also in Apple Podcasts, so we're everywhere. So make sure to follow us everywhere. I also want to shout out Latina AF. It's a new company that I created. It's merch for creators. It's merch for Latinx. So be sure to check our website, latinaaf.com. Right now, there's merch. We got shirts. We got hats. We got a little bit of everything for everyone, okay? So now let's jump right into today's episode. Today we have Rose Gutierrez, who was born and raised in Brooklyn, where she discovered her passion for performing at a young age. Though formal acting classes weren't available to her growing up, her teachers encouraged her talent. Later, she became a teacher herself and even started her own performing arts program. Today, Rose is also a filmmaker and runs her company, R3G Filmz, combining her love for storytelling and the arts. And I also want to say that Rose is Puerto Rican, so I'm so excited to bring her in. Rose, how are you?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Angel. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here and have a conversation with you, with another Latino who is doing his thing. This is great that the podcast is run by another fellow Latino and a Puerto Rican at that.
So. Yes. I'm so excited. Rose, you're in New York right now, right?
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
How's the weather?
It's been cold. I mean, it feels like an October day. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, what happened to summer? It was like, and that's been happening. Like, I mean, the other day it was like 90 degrees. And then today I had my hoodie on yesterday and today and my long pants. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to wear this. I want to stay with my shorts on, like my t-shirt, you know what I mean? But, that's the way it's, it's up and down, it's flexible, but hopefully next weekend, I think on the weekend, we're supposed to hit like high 80s again. So we'll see. Yeah.
That is crazy. That's what they call the New York weather, right? Like today is hot, then tomorrow is cold, and then the next day it's raining, and then it's snowing.
Yeah. And it feels like an autumn day. It really does. Yeah. So.
Wow. That is crazy. It's like, please let us enjoy what we got left of summer. And it's like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope, you're ready for the cold.
Yeah.
You're ready for the cold.
I refuse to put my shorts away though. I wore them yesterday and I just wore a sweater.
You're like, let's put the sweater just in case, if I need to remove it or not.
Yeah, because I want my summer.
Oh my God.
My summer, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that, Rose. Rose, you grew up in New York. So I just want to ask you, what was like the Latino dish or the Puerto Rican dish that you grew up with that you're like, oh my God, I cannot live without it?
Oh my gosh, there were so many, but I have to tell you, the one dish, and I make it today because I make it on holidays, because I don't get upset at me. The traditional Puerto Ricans out there don't eat much rice, and that's like, I have friends that are like, what's wrong with you? You don't eat rice, rice and beans, the thing. But my favorite all-time dish that my grandmother used to make and then my mom used to make and now I make it is arroz junto con maíz.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, so good. So I make it on the holidays. On the holidays. Yes, I'll make a big, in the caldero, I'll make a big, and my kids just wipe it out. So sometimes I wind up making 2 calderos of it because, my kids are like, we have to go get the rice while it's there because she doesn't make rice like every day, like a traditional Puerto Rican mom, So on the holidays I make it and, it brings me to my, every time I have it, like it brings me to my childhood, because that was my favorite dish, Puerto Rican dish.
I love that. I think that's a dish that people don't talk about. I mean, my dad used to cook that for me growing up too.
Rice with the
My
maize,
mom didn't love it.
yellow
with
rice with maize.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
good.
it's the best. My mom, my mom didn't like it, so that's why my dad didn't do it that much. But whenever he did it, I was like, I love this, And I love maize. People say like, why are you? Maize is nothing. I'm like, maize is everything for me.
Yeah, I don't eat much, but it's so good. And how about this? Puerto Ricans always put maize in the salad, right? I don't know if other cultures do that. Yeah, it's like it's not a salad without. I remember my grandma. We used to have like lettuce, tomatoes, and maize. And some days when it was a good day, aguacate.
Aguacate.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, you cannot forget the aguacate without rice. Like rice and aguacate. That's it.
Wait, is your mom Puerto Rican? Because she didn't like the
both of them. Yeah, both of them are Puerto Rican. So yeah, and and maize, with the salad was everything. And also the other thing I do is whenever I do rice and beans, by itself, I add maize on top of the rice and beans, just cold from the can.
You true Puerto Rican. Okay, how about this? When you make the rice, the yellow rice, arroz junto, right? You open the can of maize and you take the water that's in there, only the water, and you pour it, and it gives it this sabor. My mother.
What?
Yes.
I haven't done that.
And especially if your rice is like un poquito magullado, and you're like, I gotta fix this rice. It hooks it right up. You open up a can, but don't put the yellow. Just only put the water from the
water.
And it hooks it right up. Yeah, that's a trick. So try that.
I need to try that. I'm gonna try that thing, and I'm gonna let you know.
Yes, let me know.
Oh my God, new things you learn every day.
Now you're making me hungry. I want rice, yellow rice.
Me too. I'm gonna cook that later. Rose, growing up in New York too, like it's very funny because we got a lot of Puerto Ricans in New York. But there's a lot of words that you guys have created, right? Like the New Yorkers, you guys have mixed the heritage and everything and the culture, and I love it. What's a word that you will say you're like, I love this word. I'm this word, I learned it growing up or this and that, and I cannot not say it anymore.
Well, growing up, like the words, there were a few words. And just now when you started talking, one in particular that popped into my mind was I had met this guy and we were talking and flirting. And I have like this joking banter kind of thing, but not mean-spirited, So we were just laughing and making jokes. And I said to him, "Tú eres un jíbaro," and he fell laughing. And every time, like we became good friends and everything. And every time he remembered that day, he goes, "Man, I remember." And one time we're talking and he tells me that, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know," because it just flies off my head. I'll call somebody a jíbaro or a jíbara in a spit without even thinking. So that's like, that's the word. And for the audience that doesn't know what that means hip, like you're a hip, like you're not hip, you're not with the times, right? So.
Yes. Interesting. No, interesting the way you because in Puerto Rico we use it completely differently.
Tell me.
I love because so jíbaro, we say it in Puerto Rico for a person that's like not educated, that lives in the countryside of the island. I'm a jíbaro, and jíbaro, so because it comes from like those when we see the photos of the pavas, of the hats, right, like my Bunny's wearing right now. Those were the jíbaros, right? The ones who were working, in the field because they were in the countryside and they were working. They were not educated. They were just doing their hard work. And then we transformed the word in Puerto Rico, and you use it for when you're like, oh, that's un jíbaro. It's un jíbaro. He doesn't know anything about this. It's un jíbaro. But it's very interesting the way you use it and the way we use it in the island. I love that.
I didn't know that it was used in the island that way, and I love knowing, because I know it originated in the island, obviously, right? So I heard it, growing up, but it was always referenced to someone wasn't hip, like their shoes, like, mira esos zapatos, ese es un jíbaro, look at those shoes. He has some white chamboles on, remember chamboles too? You see? Like,
I
so
love that.
the fact that you just taught me something that I didn't know, you know what I mean? And then, but growing up, that's what it meant. Esa jíbara, esos zapatos que tiene, those shoes don't go with that dress. Una jíbara. Yeah. So,
yeah. that the way that you guys use it, we created another word for that specifically, which is like cafre, right? Cafre. Like we use cafre when someone is wearing shoes that doesn't match their outfit or stuff like that. It's like, not cafre, it's un cafre.
Do you know what cafre means to us over here?
No. What?
It means, let me try to put it in a clean version. Like I remember like my mother used to use it here, and eso es un cafre. That means like a very loose kind of woman or something. That was the that was given to it.
Interesting.
Yes. So wait, so in the island, it's the reference is the person is not hip and with the clothes, with the clothes. Okay.
It's like someone. You know what fiestas patronales are? Like like those fiestas. Okay. So imagine like someone going in heels to a fiestas patronales. You would call them like asa jíbara. Why are you wearing heels and this outside?
Yeah, we would call that jíbaro. A jíbaro. Yeah.
Wow, we call that cafre.
Like those heels. Look at that. And you would say in the island es un cafre.
Un cafre.
Wow, interesting. I love that. Oh my gosh.
And that's crazy and interesting, right? Like how words transform, and depending where you are, you use it differently. And it's the same, Puerto Ricans, we're everywhere, and we create words everywhere, every time, So that's another thing, and I love that. It's different things, but at the same time, it's like kind of the same. But
They have similarities, absolutely. Yeah. But that's interesting to know. Yeah. So you grew up on the island. You was born and raised there.
I grew up there in Aguada in the West Coast, and then I moved here to Atlanta, where I'm right now.
So what age were you when you moved to this Atlanta?
The what?
How old were you when you moved to Atlanta when you left Puerto Rico?
I moved 3 years ago. This has been crazy. From the West Coast, I went to San Juan. I went there to college. I spent there a couple of years, after I graduated. I spent like 2 years and then I left. And I've been here since then. So it's been crazy.
Yeah.
Like that big shock. Yeah.
Culture shock and everything.
Culture shock and all that. Yeah. And
why'd you pick Atlanta? Why'd you pick Atlanta out of all places?
It was like, I wanted to start in LA. I was like in between LA or New York. But it was like, you know what? New York, there's so many people already there doing the same thing, and I love it. And for me, it was like, how do I start there? Without not knowing anything. The same industry. It was expensive, right? Like I didn't want to have 3 jobs starting out, and I was like, LA. I really want to go to LA. So people told me about Atlanta and about the industry growing here.
Yes.
And I started, doing research, and I was like, you know what, let's go to Atlanta, let's start there, and let's see where it takes me from here, And I've been blessed actually to go to New York and do work there, get to know the industry there too, and it's amazing. And every time I go, I'm like, I want to stay here. And the same with LA, But right now, I'm like in that moment of like, let me do as much as I can here in Atlanta, and then from here, I'll go wherever. But
how has the industry been there? Because I have representation in Atlanta, but I haven't been able to go out there because I haven't booked anything. So how is the industry over there?
It's been okay. It was good before the strike. Then after the strike, it was like it's still taking off. There's a lot of commercial work here. Let me tell you that. Like there's a lot of commercial work here every day. Like literally they're shooting something different. There's a lot of TV shows happening here, and Marvel. Used to shoot a lot here. DC is now shooting here. The problem that we still have here is that they don't hire a lot of locals for like good speaking roles. It's just for like guest stars or one-liners, Yes, they still hire people for regulars and stuff and TV shows, but it's not that much. They still bring a lot of people from LA, which is like the things that we still have here.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a work to hire state, which is good. So you don't have to be SAG to do SAG projects, which is a good thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's a good thing that we have here. So yeah, it's been good. You know, I've been really getting to know the industry, especially. That's what I wanted to do here, right? Like learn the industry, you know, learn how it actually works, because Puerto Rico, the industry works so differently. And I really wanted to get to know it. So yeah, it's been good. It's been.
You tell me about that. How is the industry in Puerto Rico? Because I would love to know. Like, tell
Yeah,
me whatever.
so there's no. Yeah. So there's a lot of local work, which is amazing. You know, I think we're in an era right now where we're developing better movies in Puerto Rico. Rosalind Sanchez just directed her film there.
Okay.
Diario Mujer y Café. That just she hired literally almost like 90% of the cast was Puerto Rican. She brought a couple from outside, but she gave a lot of people work there. The only problem that we have in Puerto Rico is that SAG doesn't work there, right? So there's a lot of regulations that go through it. And, you know, when you do film, it still feels like independent film, right? But the work is really good. I think Puerto Rico has a lot of talent, not enough jobs.
Gotcha.
And there's a lot of people fighting for the same thing. And, you know, we don't have, like I told you, SAG doesn't work there. So that means that a lot of the actors that have been working there for years cannot retire that easily. So, you know, the jobs go to them again and again because, yes, it's hard. You know, that's their life and that's how they pay their bills. So it's hard for them to retire. It's hard for them to like really step away from it. So there's a lot of that. You know, I worked there for a while. I did TV there, film. But the people are so creative. You know, I tell you, like the talent that we have, it's amazing. It's just that there's not enough jobs and people are leaving to get better opportunities. Yes, but in the other side, you know, a lot of LA productions go to Puerto Rico and film, but it happens even worse. It happens in Atlanta. They don't hire necessarily talent from Puerto Rico. You know, they bring everyone from LA. And again, it's just extras or maybe one-liners. Or maybe there's this one or two roles that they will audition. I was blessed when I did Plane from Lionsgate, for example.
Beautiful.
They came to Puerto Rico. I was still living there. They came to Puerto Rico and they were still looking for 3 actors. So they opened auditions for the movie there. And I was blessed to be one of those 3 to get the role, right? But again, that wasn't like one in a lifetime experience because we don't get that many opportunities like that all the time. But now, yeah, it's
SAG wages, although Puerto Rico's not SAG, they have to.
They still did because exactly. Okay, now the problem is when productions are from Puerto Rico, right? That's where SAG doesn't necessarily enter.
Okay, yeah. So they used to have the Puerto Rican Film Festival. They don't have that anymore.
They still have it. Yeah. Puerto Rico Film Festival, yeah.
No way. I'm gonna look it up as soon as we get off this podcast because I want to look.
Check it out.
Yeah,
it starts now I think it's now in September. I think it runs kind of like the same date from the New York Latino Film Festival.
Okay. I couldn't find it. And I thought that they just like did away with it for some reason. I don't know why. When I was looking through the festivals, you know, to submit for them, and I couldn't find it. But I'm glad you told me, so I'm gonna look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, check. I think if you find it on Instagram, Puerto Rico Film Festival, just like that, I think you'll find it. They still have that one. Luzca is also like a good festival there in Puerto Rico right now. And right now they're accepting a lot of international because again, like they want to bring more awareness to the island, right?
Sure.
For example, last year I went with the New York Latino Film Festival. We brought the festival from New York to Puerto Rico, and it was really beautiful to see everyone getting there and talk about the festival, you know, and give the opportunities to more Puerto Ricans. I think we have what it takes. It's just like we need to modify the system, how it works, right? Because again, it's so small, the industry is so small there, but there's so many people and it's so hard to like really regulate it. And, you know, we don't get it's, and we know it's expensive, like SAG is expensive, for example.
Absolutely.
So it's hard for us in Puerto Rico to really afford those rates. So I think, you know, they're still working on that. I know a couple of people that are really fighting for like to make that better. And for example, to get our films in the Oscars and all that stuff. it's still a lot in Puerto Rico that needs fixed in the film industry. But we have the talent, we have the movies. I
And
hope it gets better. You know.
festivals like the Latino Film Festival you just said went last year, bringing things like that and what Benito's doing brings money to the island that's so
Yeah.
much needed, you know what I mean? Because there's always a big deficit, and where do we get the money from, right? And that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, the island needs that, it needs revenue coming in on a regular.
Yes.
That's what we need,
Yes.
especially to
No.
fix like the grid, because the grid is one thing that siempre se va la luz. Right?
Mhm.
It could
Yep.
be like
All the
raining
time.
and the grid is so weak, and it just goes, and they've lost a lot of, money in grants and stuff like that. With the current administration has cut a lot of the dollars that are going. I was speaking to someone the other day that
Mm.
was in charge of writing like grants and stuff like that for the island, and a lot of those grants were cut, so sadly, yeah, yeah.
And it is crazy because I had conversations with for example, the Puerto Rico Film Commission, right? And they're the ones who are helping, right? Like bring awareness to like, oh, come film here, right? Because we have grants. But I think there's, we're giving away a lot of grants for people from outside, and I think there's still a problem of like, how do we support our community in the island, right?
Yes.
But yes, I get, and I also get that they're giving the grants for people from outside, right, to come to the island, and bring money. But there's a problem of like, how do we still help our community, right? Like, what's a good project that we can really give money to really like put us in the map? So, and yes, there's a lot with the administration happening. It's very complicated. That's the people sometimes don't understand like what Puerto Rico is going through. They're like, oh, Puerto Rico is, it's a commonwealth from the United States. They're good. It's not. It's very complicated, the situation that we have right now. And
Extreme.
with everything that you said, like Benito right now with the Bad Bunny concert, like he's bringing awareness and it's bringing a lot of money to the island.
And
So
money,
it'll
he's
be for the better.
so much revenue to the island, and it's like, I mean, I love him for that alone. Of course he's talented, and we all love him because of that, but what he's doing is phenomenal because he's Puerto Rican, and he knows that money is needed on the island, and that's what he's doing, to give to the island and to bring awareness on the island and say, hey, we're here, there's talent here, and we're open, and and it shifts so many eyes, because believe it or not, the weekend he opened, I was there, and I had no, okay, don't get upset at me, I had no idea he was going to be there. That's not what I went for. I went honestly, I'm going to tell you, I went because so much stuff happening here with the administration. I was just going through like, I'm an empath, and that really hurt my, just looking at sad things, it really affects me. So I said to my daughter, I'm going to go to Puerto Rico so I can speak to my ancestors. And I didn't even know that full moon, we went to this conga on a private beach at 9, and it was great. And Benito was there that weekend, and the island was just like humming with people, and it was a lot, and people from all over. Like, there were people coming from Chile, there were people coming from everywhere, and I was like, this is fantastic. And I didn't even know. My daughter goes, you want me to go stand online so we could get tickets to Benito? And I was like, no, we'll go next time. Don't worry. You know what I mean? That's how I came to like just clear my head. And it was just good. I wanted to just go back, there back home. Although I was born, in New York, that's where my ancestors are, you know what I mean? That's where I'm from. So I call that home, and it wasn't until I was an adult, because as a child, I never did Puerto Rico as a child. I didn't go.
No, but with the child thing, because you mentioned, I'm just very interested in your I was reading your bio and all that stuff, and you were talking about your childhood and how, right, you wanted to be an actor when you were a child, but then you like stepped away from it at some point. Who were those who really encouraged you to do it, and how did you feel when you had to step away from it?
Well, I mean, look, as a kid, like I said, you read the bio, I don't know at what point, like, I just loved performing, and my teachers, I was in elementary school, and my teachers would give me like a whole like period to just like get up. I remember one teacher would give me time to get up and do improv in front of the class. And I didn't know what improv was, and I didn't know what comedy was. So I would do these monologues, and I would do jokes and stuff like that, right? And that was like second and third grade. Okay. And then another teacher, like in fifth and sixth grade, teachers would give me time to write out a whole play. And at that time, I didn't have a typewriter. I didn't own one. You know, we had no computers. It was typewriters, and I didn't have a typewriter. I had to write it out with a pencil. And I still have a bump here because I would stay up writing the whole play, and then I would put the play up and I would direct the play, right? So so fast forward to when I became an adult and I became a teacher, and I was like, those teachers were using me for their free prep to like, because they had to do, you're supposed to do mandatory at the time. I don't know now because I'm retired, but mandatory at the time, you had to do 1 year, one play a year. So they had me doing their play. Okay. And then on prep time, you had to do like some type of like, play, like, for the kids to interact together. And the one that had me standing up. I mean, shout out to those teachers that let me do that, and I was able to get that out of me. But they were using me to like, for their prep and stuff like that. I was like, pero ven acá, wait a minute, but
Yeah.
I'm happy that they did that, and then in middle school, I got like the leads in the play, but at that time, middle school was 7th and 8th grade, not 6th grade, 7th and 8th grade. And I got the lead on both grades. And then when I went to high school, they didn't have a performing arts program. And then nowhere in the neighborhood in Bushwick where I grew up was there a performing arts program, and I still had that in me in the back of my mind, and then I went to fast forward to college. I got married early, and then I had my my daughter. And then when I had my when I was gonna have my son, when I had my daughter, I was doing I was working full-time as a teacher's aide, and I was accumulating credits to become a teacher. So I met a professor, and he was an independent filmmaker, right? So he started talking about his project, and he started saying that he was going to hold auditions and that you had to come in with a monologue. Now, mind you, here I am, raw, didn't know anything about anything. All I knew was like a light. When he said that, a light lit up, and I was like, I said, I'm going over there. So I thought the address was somewhere in Manhattan, and we were in Manhattan, but it was on the other side of Manhattan, it was in Brooklyn. I was like, I'm going over there. What kind of play can I get? And I don't know. I remember asking him, like, where can I look for a monologue? Because I didn't know anything about acting. You know what I mean? And here I am. I'm gonna go. I have my older daughter. She was about 4 or 5, and I'm trying to finish school, and I'm working during the day. And he was like, oh, look for a raisin in the sun and look for these monologues and blah, blah, blah.
Ooh.
So I did that. And he gave me a speaking part in his independent film.
Wow.
And then from there I met, on set, when you're on set, you'll meet other actors, and that's the time to network, you know what I mean? So I tell any actor who's first starting out, whether they're young or whether they're older and they want to start a career in acting, get on set on student films, right? Yes, on student films, do background work, because that's how you're going to get, and that's how you're going to meet other people, and that's how you're going to get to know the industry, right? So from there, I found out I needed headshots. From there, I found out I should get myself into an acting class, although I had I was working towards my degree, and I do have a degree, but get yourself into some acting classes. I went to HB Studios in New York. Every actor goes to HB Studios, So, and then I joined Hola, a Hispanic organization for Latino actors in New York. Okay. And then I joined Hola.
I've heard about it.
Yes. And from there, like, they taught me a lot about the industry, and I just, I went from there. And then, I had a family, so I couldn't do it, full time, and I had to work. I remember I said, when I was a kid, I wish there was a place that I can go in the neighborhood for acting classes, And I could have maybe even walked, because my mom wouldn't have to take me. I could just walk up, a few blocks up to the main avenue. So I opened up a school for kids, on the main avenue. And I made it very affordable for the parents. It was a for-profit. I didn't want to deal with not-for-profit and wait for grants and things like that. I said, I'll just open it up, and I'll charge something that's very reasonable for the working parents that are in the area. And I did that for a good 7 years. So
Wow, and you do that in the neighborhood, and I imagine you inspire lots of kids during that time, especially you having that teaching background too. I must imagine it was like you were like, this is easy for me,
oh, I love
but combining right like the acting in the artistry and the teaching, I think it made you a perfect, made you perfect to make that for kids, and I love that. And I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that first movie that you did. Is that how you got your SAG card, or was that after?
No, I got my
'Cause I know
SAG
you got
card.
your SAG.
Yeah, because that was an
Mhm.
independent film. So
That
I
was
don't think,
independent.
and I didn't even really know anything about the union. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, union. And I did a lot of background work, like a
yeah.
lot,
And you learned a lot,
I
right?
learned
Like that's what I tell
so
everybody.
Yes, I learned so much. I did like all the New York shows that were on. That's most of them are not on anymore. This was like in the 90s. And I got my SAG card because
Mhm.
I posted a casting for Nanny Diaries, the movie with Scarlett Johansson.
Mhm.
And they were look, we're gonna talk about this. They were looking for a South American nanny. Now, I love South American, right? So I couldn't get anyone to speak with the accent that they
With the
wanted.
accent. Mhm.
And I always played around with accents and stuff like that. So I just went in there. It was 2 lines. I did the accent, and I could tell the casting director Ann Golder. She was like to the other person, and I got the part, and that's how I got my SAG card. And I was
Wow.
Yes, and at that time I still had the school, the acting school for kids and stuff like that. So that's how I got my SAG card. I became SAG eligible, and I joined right away because I was so excited. Back in the
Mhm.
day, it's like you've made it, you become an actor because you got your
Yeah.
SAG card, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that's how I got my card, and then after that, I booked a few national commercials,
Mm.
and they're not like they are now, because of the internet. And I mean, even now it's evolving even more. You don't make the money that you used to make on a
Mm.
national commercial, like.
But yeah, because that's the biggest thing. They say like you make a national commercial and you make so much money with it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I made two of them, and it's a salary for a whole entire year. You know what I mean? And I did a regional one, which is not shown everywhere, and that was also a big
Mm.
salary. But they don't; those are like not really, like, they're kind of like non-existent, like now.
Yeah. I
So
imagine, yeah, because those contracts were different too, and like you said, like the evolvement with the media today, the internet, all that stuff, and there's different contracts for all that. So yeah.
and now with the influencers and with Instagram and TikTok, now the in the SAG contract, I don't know if you took a look at the commercial, we're
Mm.
allowed to do those because we weren't allowed to do them before. And they had to integrate it because it's like, we also have to make a living. So, but it's hard because if you don't look at those contracts, they try to take advantage, and they take advantage of these. Let me tell you, they sent me a contract, and I'm not going to say who the label was because I'm not calling anybody out, but they wanted to pay me this money, and I'm like, okay, this is not a lot of money for this
Mm.
big, name campaign. And then they wrote in perpetuity. In perpetuity means they could use my image forever. And I called my manager, and I was like, look, I am not now. And the thing is, you know what? I picked it up because I read the contract, like, quickly. But these other kids that are not actors, and you tell them, you're going to do this big brand, spot, and they throw a few dollars at them, right? And they pay them once, and then they get to use their image forever. So then, and now if this commercial blows up, they're making money, and
Not you.
they're not paying the influencer. You know what I mean? And it's just they're being taken advantage. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. The way that these people, because it's not only kids, they do it with
Yeah.
Anybody, because everybody now is an influencer. Like,
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I mean?
and the problem with all of this is that someone says no, but then they'll go to someone else who's going to say yes. So
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, they know somebody's going to say yes because somebody's going to be desperate for that money, right? Or being sold that dream of like you're going to be in this amazing
I think
commercial,
that's what
and
it's
that's
more
it.
about. Yes, they're so like dream. Oh my God, I'm an actor. I've made it. I'm gonna make a commercial, a spot. It's gonna be on TikTok, for this great brand, Because I know a lot of brands, because all of my kids work in production. So I know a lot of brands right now. they're hiring for commercial work that's solely for the internet, like for TikTok or Instagram only.
Mhm.
And these big brands, you know what I mean? And they're pouring a lot of money, and they're doing it with vertical video. Okay. No big thing, no big
Yeah.
camera. The other day my son was working on a jean commercial, well-known jean commercial, and he was like, "Ma, you wouldn't believe this. They were using phones and gimbals, and that's it." And
Really?
they're a billion-dollar industry. They've been around forever, this jean company that I'm talking about. And I was like, wow, how you have to keep up with the time, because right now the industry is evolving.
It's evolving. It's crazy. I mean, and everything with the streaming platform, for example, like like right, like we know about the strike, that it happened because of that reason too, because they were taking advantage of streaming platforms and putting all the work there without having contracts. And what happened with Scarlett Johansson, when Black Widow went to Disney Plus without, it's a lot of mess. And I think the industry is still learning on how to capitalize and how to make everyone happy. But at the end of the day, you as an actor have to really look out for yourself and look out for your rights and what's right for you. Because why, like you said, like, why would you get paid all this money, but then but it's forever? And it's like, okay, and these people are still making money. Yeah,
no residuals,
nothing.
You know what I mean? No residuals, and here's the problem with that. Streaming services are being bought out by big tech companies, and they're not artists, and they just care about making the money and the big buck. So they want to integrate as much, like the writers, went on strike first because they're trying to replace them with AI. And you can't replace them. You could use AI as a tool, but you can't replace the writing with AI. So, these big tech companies are buying up the streaming services, and all they care about is money. They don't care about the artistry. They don't care about making art. They don't care about the storytelling. They'll take one idea, like let's say like a Marvel or something else, and then they'll just make like 10, and they'll keep making the same movie over and over and over. Oh, because it made money, it made millions, so let's just keep doing the same thing over and over. And people are tired of that. The audience is tired of that. They want new creativity, and they also want, I think, like, especially for my generation, I think also the audience wants authenticity and just going back to the basics, of the basic television, about a family, about, some conflict, and, that good old fashioned television, that seems to be disappearing. Like television itself, like I wrote an ebook. It's called From Screen to Stream, how actors and other people can go from, because actors, you talk to a lot of actors, like I'll talk to a lot, and they're like, I wasn't made to be no influencer, and I'm not going to be on the internet, and I'm not going to do all that, because I just want to be on TV. Yeah. Like, you have to use it like a plus, because
it is.
Whether you like it or not, it's here, and it's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
And now we have, and think of it like this. Look, now we have theater, we have TV, we have film, and we have the internet. And I tell them, all it is an added tool for us to be noticed and to be seen and to create art on. That's all it is.
I love that you mentioned that, because there's a big issue, because we know influencers, then we know how to differentiate them from actors and stuff like that. Right. But there is, it is a different medium at the end of the day. Social media, it is a different medium.
Absolutely.
It's not for everyone. We know that, you can be the best actor on TV, but maybe you don't translate that to social media. But exactly. Social media is a platform, and I always tell everyone that tells me like, I hate social media, I hate Instagram, and I'm like, yes, I get it. But you also should use it and be smart and use it as a platform, as a tool, to promote yourself and show people who you are and what you're doing. That's all, you can use it for. If you don't want to create content for social media, that's okay too. You use it as a platform and as a tool. And I love, Rose, you mentioned something about authenticity and new stories. And that's something I'm very passionate about, and that's something that I really saw when I moved here. Like, we were not telling Latino stories away, right? It was right. I didn't see like authentic stories anymore. And you created something for that. So you created R3G Filmz, and I just want to know about it. Like, first of all, where did the name come from?
Okay, that's great. Nobody asked me that. So the name came from R is for me, Rose, right? And then
Oh,
three, three is because I have three children,
wow.
and their last name is Gonzalez.
Uh-huh.
So those are my three G's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
I
then
love that.
yeah, and then films is instead of with the S, I did it with the Z because this Gen Zer who used to be my assistant, she worked with me, Rebecca, shout out Rebecca. She goes, put the Z at the end, put the Z at the end. I was like, really? She goes, yeah, it makes it. I said, I love that idea. So I put the Z at the end. So yeah, the 3G is are my children. Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that. That's so sweet in connecting, your family and who you are, with the projects that you do. Because I think it's very important. It's who you are, like this company is yours. It's your baby, I imagine. So, you wanted to create this from a place of like who you are and authenticity again.
Exactly.
What's your mission with R3G Filmz? I know you've been working for a while, right? Like how long you've been working for it, and what's the mission?
So this particular project that I'm working on right now, that's I'm going to be having a screening for. I started it 10 years ago. Yes. And then I had to put it down because my life fell apart. And I got separated from my husband of 30 years. And we went through a tumultuous divorce. And, and then one day, it was always in the back of my mind. When am I going to go back? When am I going to go back? And then, you get that imposter syndrome and you're like, maybe it's too late. Maybe everybody's mad at me. Maybe I shouldn't. And I invited the actors back and everyone came back except 2 actors. And it was only because of scheduling conflicts. They wanted to come back and I used their image because I used the thing and they were like, of course, I loved doing it. You know what I mean? So it was always there. And I was like, you know what? I need to like write it in the story. So I wrote it back into the story without giving too much away. I took pieces of the old story and I incorporated it because in the new story, it's a flashback that I have. So I was able to incorporate it in. My mission with the whole thing is representation and for us to have our own voices. Because we complain about, there's not enough Latino representation, right, in Hollywood, And, John Leguizamo is a big advocate for us. Shout out to John.
Yeah. Yes, John.
For us, doing amazing. I love him, and I remember when he first started out, you know what I mean? I was like, "Ingate loco," and we sit here, we complain and we're like, oh, but there's not enough representation. And look, I've been in this industry now for over 30 years and I couldn't do it full time because I had a family, whatever, and I would go to showcases and meet, remember they had like these showcases where you would actually go and you would audition for like, for managers and for agents, and I would get picked up because, my work is good. But then I would sit and they would go, oh, but you're a Latina, but I don't know where to put you. Like, they would go, I remember, and I would always get that. One manager, I sent her my new headshot. She goes, Rose, you look like a white woman. Where am I supposed to say? Yes, because
Wow.
I have
Yeah, exactly.
And right now I have a tan because it's summer. So during the year, my skin looks a little lighter. Do you know what I mean? So, representation that we come in all shades and colors and sizes. Do you know what I mean? So that's number one. And I want to make sure that, we tell stories, we tell our own stories. And I think it's like told for us, by us. The other thing, that's I want to call them, the powers that be say that we don't sell the tickets. That's why they don't hire us to be leading men, women, right? And I want to show that there is an audience, and listen, this is a lot of work what I'm doing, what I'm entailing right now. Like I have like this whole plan mapped out. I did this pilot, then I'm doing a spin-off spoof that I want to put on YouTube, and I want to show there isn't with the same type of people, but I don't want to show show the pilot yet because I'm gonna film 2 more episodes and then shop it around. But I want to
Gotcha.
show these are the people, because so I can't show that, but I want to show these are the people, and I'll add new, I'll bring in new people, new characters, but there is an audience for this look. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like you have, and even now, now in the industry, it's like they're not spending money. That's the other thing on original, content and storytellers. They're not no longer funding like, oh, this is a great script, I'm going to give you, $500,000, go out and shoot this. They're not doing that no more. But if you come in with a proof of concept and a film, then maybe that they'll take a look at it, because gone are those days, because they want to make those Marvel movies that keep on, bringing
they keep it going and never end. And it's crazy. And you mentioned about the Latinos going to the watching projects. And the other day I was reading some graphics, and actually Latinos are #1 goers to the movie theaters still, #1. Yes. So that tells you, the data's there that tells you that we want stories.
John did a whole statistics with numbers and said how much power we have at the box office, that we're spending. So what's up with the representation on screen and behind the screen? Because behind the camera, in production also, it's not very, diverse. My kids, the 3 of them work production. It's not a diverse, community there, So, my older daughter, she's climbing the ladder and she's doing more producer work and project manager work, and of course, she's not looking at, I'm only gonna like let Latinos know, but she's like, it's good because, I also let, Latinos, open the door for them also, you know what I mean? So it's like in front of the camera and behind the camera, there's the representation is so minuscule, yet we have buying power. Do you know what I mean? So, and I always felt like this. I think, Latin men actors, I don't want to say have it worse, but I think they're overlooked more because they're more leading Spanish men. Fantastic. I know fantastic men that they're like kick-ass, I don't want to curse, actors, but yet they're always overlooked for the leading roles. I mean, Latinas too, but I think the men, to me, that's like so disproportionate. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, because it's my problem all the time, right? Like I think there's an issue in the industry that it's a Latino man. He either has to be very, very Latino, has like very strong facial, or let's put it, for example, like Mexicans, right? Like we know some Mexicans that have like very strong features because of where they come from, right? And that's what they're looking for, that specifically. Or white passing Latinos, right? Like Latinos that are very, very light, right? And they look kind of American, but then they can be like, oh, they're actually Latinos. And he's like,
they look European. They look European.
Yeah, exactly. And, for example, people like me, right? Like I grew up not seeing myself represented, right? That's why I wanted to do this, because I never saw someone that looked like me. And whenever I go to audition, for example, the first thing they ask me is, are you Middle Eastern? Because you don't look Latino, right? It's the same thing that happens to you kind of, but the other way around. It's like, you don't look Latino. And then I speak Spanish and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. And then they're like, oh, can you speak with an accent? And I'm like, what more of an accent you want when this is the way I learned English? And, more of that, but it's all of this to tell you that, yes, I think we're all struggling in the ways of like, we don't look necessarily what they think we should look like.
Hollywood wants us to look like.
Exactly.
Hollywood. See, my daughter, she looks Mexican, and she gets called in a lot, and she books a lot of commercial work, and she books a lot of print work because she has black hair and she has the darker skin, so she looks what Hollywood says is a Latino look. Do you know what I mean? But and that's the other reason, that I'm like, we have to make our own stories and show them that, like I said, we come in all shades, and just because we look like we're European doesn't mean that we're not Latinos.
Exactly. Yeah. And I tell everyone, I tell everyone, go to Puerto Rico and watch the diversity. I mean, look at you right now. I mean, look at your eyes, right? I don't have those eyes, but I'm still Puerto Rican. And it's like, go to these places and see how the people actually look like.
Yes,
And
my
then,
grandma's
we can.
Afro Latina. My grandmother looks black. My grandma's like black woman, and so does my uncle, my first uncle, my mother's brother. Okay, so we come in all shades, and I think it's changing a little bit, but not enough.
Yeah.
But not enough. There's still a lot of work to be done, and a lot of people like John Leguizamo is using their platform to shed light on that. And here's the other thing. That's what makes the beauty of the internet, of having TikTok and Instagram, because if you look, you see there's a lot of us out there, and a lot of how you say a lot of content geared, like your podcast, for example. And there's a lot of us, and there's a community, and we're banding together. There's something called Latinas Acting Up. Latinas Acting Up.
Latinas Acting Up, yeah.
Yes, I went and I joined those ladies. They're doing wonderful.
I love that.
Work, making a community.
I met them in LA, and they were bringing the community together, and that was part of it.
Came to New York, and I met them, and they were like amazing, and brought everyone together, and it's a sisterhood, and I join them, and I get their emails, and I hop in whenever I can, and they're just encouraging each other, and that's what we need. So my project, really quickly, not really quickly, but my project, stemmed from, I grew up in Bushwick, and when I was growing up in Bushwick, we were there like.
The project is actually called This Is Bushwick, right?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I named it that. So I'm gonna go back. So I was born in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, right? In Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and then we went to Prospect Park, and then we went to Bushwick. So when I got there, there were still, a lot of Irish families, right? But they started to leave, and the Latinos started coming in. Not too many Dominicans at that time, like in the early 70s, more Puerto Ricans. And there were Puerto Ricans and Black families, but there were more Puerto Ricans, and then the Bushwick became like this arson place where the landlords were setting their houses on fire to get the insurance money. Yeah, it was used to be on the news. I remember like every day there was a building like burning down and things like that, right? And then it became drug infested. Crack was dropped into the neighborhood in the early 80s, and I remember that, and on every corner they were like, selling drugs, and it was very dangerous, and there were shootouts and things like that. They did a whole layout on the New York Times. The very block I was living on was the hottest spot in the city. Okay. And I was like, oh my God, but my mom owned a house there, so that was home. So fast forward, I bought a home there, the drugs started to fade out or whatever. And then, slowly but surely artists started coming into the neighborhood, before the hipsters is, the artists, and then comes people with money and things like that. So in order to, sell the area, the community, Bushwick, real estate agents started to call it East Williamsburg. So that's where the name derives from. It's like, this is Bushwick, not East Williamsburg.
Gotcha.
So that's where it comes from. So I watched the neighborhood transition, from Irish families and to Latinos, and then the hipsters started coming in. Do you know what I mean? So the neighborhood made all these transitions. There was arson, then it was drug infested, and now you can't even afford to live there. You know what I mean? I had a house, I just sold it because of my divorce, and I moved a little further up to Ridgewood, I bought a house in Ridgewood, but it's still my home, and my mother's house, my mother passed away last year, but my mother's house is still there. My sister, my two sisters and my brother are in the house, you know, and we always had properties there. You know, I had two properties there, and my mom had a like we always had properties there,
Yeah.
you know, Bushwick. So the
Wow.
story is, you know, based on true events, but of course, very, very exaggerated for TV. There's comedy in it, you know. I changed the names to protect the innocent, kind of thing.
Of course.
You know, but you know, just telling the story of, you know, big companies coming in and waving a check literally in front of, you know, a family and going, here's like, you know, when it first started, like I want to say like in the 90s, they would wave a check of $100,000 and then we'll say like, look, we can give you this and we'll buy a house. And then they started buying up the properties, and knocking the houses, the beautiful houses down, you know, the townhouses, and then putting these, you know, big story buildings in. Yes. So the story is based on that, but more about the family. And, you know, I give it some spice, you know, some like telenovela spice. Where
of course.
You know, was that one sleeping with this one, and you know, that kind of thing. You know, so I kind of mixed it up because I wanted to make it fun, and I also gave it, you know, the show The Bear, right?
I love that show.
Me too, and we love Liz, right? Latina. Woo! So
of course, yes.
So that show, if you notice, when it goes up for an Emmy, it's like up for comedy. But if you watch the show, you're like, where's the comedy?
Like, where's the comedy?
Right, it's subtle in there, so that's kind of like where my thing is. It's like they're subtle, but there is moments of, you know, where it is funny. Because like The Bear, there is moments where it is funny. Yeah. You know, those are serious, you know, show. So that same kind of thing. And then with the spin-off I did, what I did was I shot like I think it was 3 or 4 small bite-sized scenes to show them on YouTube, but I'm not going to release them until my screening. So with that, I took the idea from, do you remember the show Weeds?
It sounds familiar.
I forget her name, Louise something. It was based on this. The mom, I think her husband either died or left her or something, and she became a weed dealer. She started selling weed. So weights and weeds. So I took that idea and I started. So my character, we don't know, because the pilot has a lot of cliffhangers, right? So my character, we don't know if her and her husband break up. It's just alluded, right? So then I go to the spinoff and it's alluded like we did break up. And instead of weed, I'm selling soap. So I'm making soap. So yeah, and it's really funny, you know, kind of thing.
Oh my God.
Based it on the tone of Weeds, where the mother has to get a hustle together, like hustle something, you know, so that she can support her family. So my character Andrea starts, you know, hustling soap and making soap at home, you know, and dealing them, and then like all these little things happen. So we did like little spoofs of that, you know, kind of fun stuff.
Oh my God. I love all this.
Because I'm actually selling soap. Because
of course you gotta do it.
Yes.
I love that. That's how you do it.
Yes.
You know?
And it's called a box of drama, right? And you get some soaps in the box, and then the soaps are gonna be called like you know, Chisme or Lavender Lies or things like that. You know what I mean? Inside the soap. So yes.
Bringing the drama outside the project, bringing the drama.
Are we gonna have some for men, and we're gonna put, you know, men like drama too. So we have some.
Of course, we like drama.
Yes, so we have some phrases for men.
I mean, they say men are more chismoso than women.
Yeah.
That's I can say I can test it.
You know what I'm gonna do? In honor of us, name one of them Hibaro.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I just thought of that. My mind said no. Okay. In honor of you, and I'm gonna have to send you. I'm gonna have to send you a box of drama soap.
Oh my God, I love that. Drama soap and Hibaro. Oh my God.
Okay, I'm gonna send you a box.
I love that.
My gift to you. Okay.
Oh, I'm very grateful for that. I love that. Well, Rose, how can people get that soap? Are you selling them right away? Right now?
It's gonna be at the premiere, and then I'm going to put it on. Yes, I'm gonna put it on my Instagram shop, and it's gonna be for sale. Yeah.
I love that. I love that, you know, making something out of it, and that's also great marketing, because, you know, people say like, oh, how can we promote our projects more? It's like, You got to find a ways, and this is a great way of doing it.
And I could have did t-shirts, but everybody does t-shirts, and I'm like, this is a soap opera. So I was like, a box of drama, because it's called, the YouTube channel is called the soap. Right? The soap. So this will be a box of the soap drama, in the box. So then we're gonna name the soaps, the different soaps. They smell so good. They're all like oatmeal and poppy seed and lemon tree. So we're gonna name them like little, drama, sayings.
Yeah. I love that. That's so smart. And when people say how can we promote, what else can we do? Marketing, this is marketing, and this is a great way of putting your work out there. And with that, how can people actually support, the project? If people who want maybe maybe get the soaps sometime soon when it comes out, or maybe get to the private screening, how can people support inside New York and outside of New York, right? Like people like me.
Okay, so my Instagram is R3G Filmz, Filmz. Go on my Instagram, follow me, because I'm always posting things there. If you're in New York and you want to see the screening, we have one screening September 5th at 7 p.m. It's going to be held in the Lower East Side in New York. And then we have another one September 12th at 7 p.m. in the same spot in Lower East Side. DM me, tell me you saw this, you saw the episode and you love to come down. The tickets are only $20. And we're gonna show the screening of the pilot. It's 30 minutes, and then we're gonna show the little spoofs. We're gonna have a DJ, we're gonna have a red carpet, we're gonna have a photographer, we're gonna have a video, we're gonna have a raffle, and it's gonna be fun stuff. We're gonna have empanadas, what I mean? So we're gonna have a lot of fun stuff. So both things, and some of the actors can't make it to one, so they'll make it to the other, kind of thing. I'm going to check to see if it could be streamed. I'm gonna have a meeting with the place where I'm holding it, and if it could be streamed, I'll send it to you so you can check it out.
Yes, if not, maybe I'll plan a trip to New York.
And you would come as my guest. Let me know.
Thank you so much.
I would have you come as my guest, of course.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I love that. And people who are not there that want to support your projects, that want to maybe
we do have a private
some donations.
We do. No, I also have a private. It's called a supporter backing deck. So I have a deck that I put together, right? And it tells you all about the project, and it shows you pictures. And then we have levels. We have a gold supporter, we have silver supporter, and then we have a bronze supporter. So the bronze, you can give any amount, and then the gold supporter, if you give a certain amount, you become, we'll put you down like an executive producer on IMDb. Yes, and then also there's another level where you can become a co-producer. So we have 3 of those, and then for the silver, there's some perks on there also. But everything is in the deck. They can message me and they could tell me that they want to support, even if they want to send $20 our way. We take you already know, every little bit counts, because we want to put that next episode up together, and then I want to start marketing it to distributors and things like that.
I love that. And and people out there making films, it's not cheap, it's not easy. It's expensive. It takes a lot. You have to pay for the production. You have to pay for the actors. You have to pay for food. You have to pay for cameras. You have to pay for crew. There's a lot that's happening that after the
locations.
Film,
when you're using places, locations, you got to pay for locations. So
it's expensive, and people think making films is easy. People think making TV shows are easy. It's not. So we're really always grateful of people supporting these projects. I know a lot of people here in Atlanta, they're big supporters of projects, of indie projects. So please support anything that you can. Sometimes even a share on Instagram helps so much, or just
absolutely.
A like and a comment. So, supporting any way that you can.
I'm going to send you the trailer, so maybe you can share it on your platform.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, and have them, and then I could write something, and then I'll share it with you. And then I can't share the one that's on there because I did do an ad, and once you do an ad, you can't change it around. So I'll send you one, and then I'll put, if they want to see the screening, for them to DM me, and if they want to support, to DM me, and I could send them our deck, our supporter deck, and then take a look at it. Mm-hmm.
I love that. I will definitely do that. Send it my way, and I'll definitely help you. Again, this is now your family. This is now your house. You know, anything you need from me, and I'm here for all of us. I'm here for the Latino community, right? Like, how can we help each other, uplift each other? Because I think it's our time to really tell our stories and tell them authentically. And there's not better way than ourselves, right? Like telling our stories, writing the stories, directing the stories, and really putting it out there. I think that's very important. And I think this is the time for that.
Nobody's going to tell our stories like we can. No.
Nobody's going to do it.
You also have a family with me, you know, with us here. You know, I do have like a nice little team that I work with. You know, we're here in New York, and I'll help you, and I will promote your podcast and any way I can. So we'll talk about that off screen, and you know, anyway, I'll promote your stuff. You know what I mean? Because we have to lift each other up and help each other.
We have to. There's no other way.
What you're doing is great, and you're smart, and I mean, this is great. This is.
Thank you so much.
You'll be like, all right, I'm like, back to the podcast, okay? I got another project, you know.
Of course, that's what it's all about.
I do have other projects that I want to, you know, that I have. In fact, I did apply for some grants with another project that I have that's totally different, you know. And then I have another project in the works that I have to go to Puerto Rico to film because it is. Yes. And maybe you can talk about that, and maybe we could we could collaborate on that, okay? Yeah,
I would love that. Yes, you count me in anything that you need. I'm here for it. And again, like New York is becoming another home for me. So
I think when you read the whole synopsis on it, I think you really like it. So the thing with Puerto Rico, I think you will. Yeah.
Yes, love that, Rose. Thank you so much for that. Rose, before we finish this episode, I always like to do like a quick fun part here where we do a little trivia. About Latinos, about Latino in general. So there are different categories to choose from, right? You'll choose one category, and I'll ask you 3 questions, you know, and there's no right or wrong. Whatever happens.
You're killing me, Angel. You're killing me. Hey, why you do this to me?
So,
you're gonna call me a jibara because I ain't gonna know anything. That's it. I mean, I can jibara.
Come on. You're gonna know. Okay, so these are the categories: Latin music, food, guess the song, guess the artist, or culture.
Oh my God, I don't even know which one to pick. I mean, I love my Latin music, but I never know the artist. I just dance. Okay.
You know Latin music.
I love Latin music. I love salsa dancing. Okay, but all right, so because I'm gonna go.
I'll give you a multiple choice. Yeah, because I give you multiple choice. You choose from the ones that I give you.
Okay, let's do that. Either that or food. Either that or food, because I don't know about food. But either that or food. So music or food. Okay.
Let's do this. I'll give you.
It's okay if I cheat. Look, it's okay if I cheat. If I Google it.
No. Okay, let's do this. I'll give you 2 music and 1 food. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so these are very easy. I think they're easier than you think it is. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna start with the first one. Which famous Colombian artist sings "Hips Don't Lie"?
Oh, Shakira.
Which? See? Easy peasy. You got it. Okay, the next one. Who is known as the king of bachata? Who is known as the king of bachata?
Okay, give me the choices.
Okay, the choices are Romeo Santos, J Balvin, or Ricky Martin.
The first one, Romeo Santos.
Romeo Santos, see? Easy. You got it.
I knew it, but I wanted to hear the choices. I knew it.
You're like, okay. And the last one.
I'm pretty good. Okay.
You're very good at it. Okay. The last one, you better not fail in this one. What's the popular Puerto Rican fried food made of mashed plantains? Mashed plantains.
Okay, Angel, you're gonna give me the choices because I already know this one, but I want to make sure. Okay.
Is it mango or is it mofongo?
Mofongo.
Ah, see, you got it.
Mofongo's so good. Mofongo's so good.
Mofongo so good. Mofongo so good. 3 out of 3. See, you got it right, Rose. No
Oh my
stress
God,
in
thank
this.
you.
You
That's
got it.
because energy is amazing.
Thank you so much, Rose. Rose, thank you again for accepting this and for being here in this episode. You know, you're an amazing person. You know so much of the industry. You've gone through a lot within the industry, and it really shows. You know, the passion and the professionalism that you have, and you know, and your story is beautiful, and the way that you want to put us out there. I'm very thankful for people like you, like are creating their own projects, are creating, you know, new stories, and are giving opportunities to actors and people to work because it's hard for us. So thank you again, Rose, for the work that you do. It's really phenomenal, and I cannot wait to watch the full project and more of your projects. You know, because I know you're developing more, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited for what you're creating.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me on. This was so great. The time went like, because,
Yeah.
the conversation was so good and so rich and so real. You know what I mean? And just, we have that vibe because the culture,
Mm-hmm.
that's in the blood, right?
It's the blood.
It's the blood, so this was amazing and I loved being on, and I can't believe the time went by so quickly, and it was so fun, to have this
Yeah.
conversation. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you
So
so much,
thank you, and
Rose.
thank you for doing this, and you're so
Mm-hmm.
smart and so eloquent, and thank you so much. This was so great. Yeah.
Thank you. That's my whole goal with this platform is that, you know, is talk about the issues, talk about our stories, and showcase that we're so different and our stories are so diverse. You know, there's not one Latino story. There's multiple Latino stories, and there are infinite stories out there that I think it's our time to start telling them and start showing and showcasing who we really are. Uh, Rose, before we leave, I always like to ask the guests one thing that you wish somebody would have told you when you started in this industry. What can you tell those young actors, filmmakers out there who are starting in the industry?
One thing that I wish somebody would have told me, okay, to all the young people,
Mm-hmm.
stay true to yourself and find your voice, be authentic, and elevate your people. Let's help each other and elevate each other. um and I think the young people already have so many advantages, that I didn't have. I didn't have the internet. They have everything right at their feet. Use the tools that you have, and everybody gets imposter syndrome, but just keep doing it, and just know that to fail is to learn. You must fall on your face. You have to fall on your face, because if you're not falling on your face, then you're not learning, then you're not doing the thing, you know and I want to flip that a little bit, Angel, and I want to talk to, I love talking to the young people. I'm a teacher, and I have an acting class for kids starting up next week, but I want to speak to the older folks too, because I started this journey, like really started it later in life. It wasn't until my 50s that I got an agent, and in my 40s, my SAG card, and now I'm a filmmaker, later in life. And I'm really, really like, this is like, I'm so enjoying. This is not work for me, and I am working morning, noon, and night, and I am enjoying. I was like, wow, this is. Thank you, God. I found what I wanted to do, and I just want to tell older people that, that dream that you had as a little girl or a little boy is still waiting for you. And you're never too old. That program that we have, like, oh, I'm too old to do that. Throw that out the window, man, because you know what? Give yourself permission. No one cares. No one's watching. You know what I mean? And be an example for the younger people, because you know what? For me, I'm doing this and I'm an example for my kids and for all the younger people. And, we didn't talk about this really quick. I took a Meisner class after, I graduated like maybe 5 years ago, because I really wanted to hone in on my craft. And in the Meisner class, it was a 2.5-year rigorous program. I was the oldest person. Everybody there was 20s and 30s, and I was even older than the teacher. Okay. And I didn't feel old. I was there to learn, and I embraced it. And I felt like, my God, I'm here with other artists. And that's all I wanted, So to the young people, if you really want to do this and you're passionate about it, it disturbs me to hear young people go, I really tried and it's not working for me. Really? Mira, seriously? I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. This is the journey that you're supposed to be taking. you're being tested. Like, I want to see how bad you got this. I want to see how bad you want this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what it's telling me. When a door closes on me, Angel, I'm going, you know what? I'm supposed to work harder. I'm supposed to go around that. This is what, but I only know that today. I didn't know that a few years ago or growing up. I didn't know that. But today I give myself permission to do it my way and the way I want. And man, do I make mistakes. I make a lot of them. And it's okay. It's okay. Because I'm learning. And you know what? Next year, I'm going to be even a better director. And then the following year and the following year, because I'm learning and I'm taking classes and I'm meeting other directors and I'm doing workshops with other directors, prominent women who have like prominent films, who have won Academy. I'm doing all of that, so I'm immersing myself in it. Do the work, and you will get there,
Do the work. I love that. Thank you for that. I think it's very important for people to understand that you didn't get to where you are as easy as people think it is. It's not easy. You have to fall down and continue, and get up and continue, and fall down again and continue. And that's the important thing. So thank you, Rose, for those words. It's really beautiful.
You're welcome.
Remember to follow Rose at Instagram, R3G Filmz with a Z. Remember to follow them. Also remember to follow Lights Camera Latino and my Instagram, Angel Fabian Rivera. And this was another episode of Lights Camera Latino, the podcast. And I always like to end the podcast with this, Rose. And it says, when life knocks you down, levántate con más fuerza. Keep fighting. Hasta la próxima. This was Lights Camera Latino, the podcast.
Thank you.